Donald Trump as president, does that mean a new world order or does that mean chaos in the world? Well, I think we have a divided people on that. I'm not going to make a comment on it at this moment. I will make a comment on some of the things that he speaks about here when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Israel, something that's very close to my heart. Listen in and let me know what your thoughts are.
Let me be clear. An agreement imposed by the United Nations would be a total and complete disaster. The United States must oppose this resolution and use the power of our veto, which I will use as president 100%. When people ask why, it's because that's not how you make a deal. Deals are made when parties come together. They come to a table and they negotiate. Each side must give up something. It's values. I mean, we have to do something where there's value in exchange for something that it requires. That's what a deal is. A deal is really something that when we impose it on Israel and Palestine, we bring together a group of people that come up with something that's not going to happen with the United Nations. It will only further, very importantly, it will only further delegitimize Israel. It will be a catastrophe and a disaster for Israel. It's not going to happen, folks. And further, it would reward Palestinian terrorism because every day they're stabbing Israelis and even Americans. You don't reward behavior like that. You cannot do it. There's only one way you treat that kind of behavior. You have to confront it.
I would say that you have to destroy it, that kind of behavior. Evil needs to be destroyed. You don't sit down with evil people to negotiate with them. That's not possible, Mr. Trump. I think you need to appreciate and understand that. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't sit down with people who, from another country, started sending missiles into your country and come, let's sit down and talk this out. No, this has to stop. This has to be eradicated from beginning to end.
So it's not up to the United Nations to really go with a solution. It's really the parties that must negotiate a resolution themselves. They have no choice. They have to do it themselves, or it will never hold up anyway. The United States can be useful as a facilitator of negotiations, but no one should be telling Israel that it must be, and really that it must abide by some agreement made by others thousands of miles away that don't even really know what's happening to Israel, to anything in the area. It's so preposterous. We're not going to let that happen.
I agree with that. But further, not only does Israel have to make their own negotiation after the destruction of the evil, but they have to be given the right, not given the right, they have the right, it has to be respected the right that a war was begun against them on October 7th, and we're not going to finish the war until the enemy is defeated. And that is our duty, that is our obligation, and that needs to be appreciated by all the world. And you, Mr. Donald Trump, likewise.
When I'm president, believe me, I will veto any attempt by the UN to impose its will on the Jewish state. It will be vetoed 100%. You see, I know about deal making. That's what I do. I wrote The Art of the Deal. One of the best-selling all-time, and I mean seriously, I'm saying one of because I'll be criticized as if I say the, so I'm going to be very diplomatic. One of, I'll be criticized. I think it is number one, but why take a chance?
How about being a little humble? Okay? Give credit to God Almighty that gave you whatever geniuses that you have and capability that you have, rather than thinking so large of yourself. Now go ahead.
One of the all-time best-selling books about deals and deal-making. To make a great deal, you need two willing participants. We know Israel is willing to deal. Israel has been trying. That's right. Israel has been trying to sit down at the negotiating table without preconditions for years. You had Camp David in 2000, where Prime Minister Barak made an incredible offer, maybe even too generous. Arafat rejected it.
Absolutely correct. It was not too generous. It was inappropriate because it just fed into their hunger to have more. It just pushed the envelope that they will not be satisfied, because the truth is they will never be satisfied unless it's from the river to the sea.
In 2008, Prime Minister Olmert made an equally generous offer. The Palestinian Authority rejected it also. Then John Kerry tried to come up with a framework, and Abbas didn't even respond, not even to the Secretary of State of the United States of America. They didn't even respond. When I become president, the days of treating Israel like a second-class citizen will end on day one. Thank you. And when I say something, I mean it. I mean it. I will meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu immediately. I have known him for many years and will be able to work closely together to help bring stability and peace to Israel and to the entire region. Meanwhile, every single day, you have rampant incitement and children being taught to hate Israel and to hate the Jews. It has to stop. When you live in a society where the firefighters are the heroes, little kids want to be firefighters. When you live in a society where athletes and movie stars are the heroes, little kids want to be athletes and movie stars. In Palestinian society, the heroes are those who murder Jews. We can't let this continue. We can't let this happen any longer.
How right he is. The key, the core to anything that will be everlasting, or at least to some length of time, is the education of the children. That needs to be done and supervised by those who do not, in their textbooks and their teachings, imbue the children from 3 years old and even younger with a hate to Jews, a hate to Western civilization, culture, a hate for those who are not like them. This will be the ultimate key to any future hope of a peace and world peace, ultimately. So you've got your work for you, Mr. Trump.
You cannot achieve peace if terrorists are treated as martyrs. Glorifying terrorists is a tremendous barrier to peace. It is a horrible, horrible way to think. It's a barrier that can't be broken. That will end, and it'll end soon, believe me.
A little naive, thinking a Western mind is not the same as a terrorist jihadist mind at all. You think you're going to flex your power and you're going to maybe show them that, you can have a good life, wealth, and comfort and pleasure. That doesn't talk to the jihadist. Not at all. The triumph of Islam is what speaks to them. And the only way that will be dealt with is in future generations with the education to the children. That's the key. Don't think that you're coming into power and you're going to change them. I wish. The only thing that I believe that will change them is Torah teachings, the word of God, not the word of Donald Trump.
In Palestinian textbooks and mosques, you've got a culture of hatred that has been fermenting there for years. And if we want to achieve peace, they've got to go out and they've got to start this educational process. They have to end education of hatred. They have to end it, and now.
That's it. Stay on that and work on that. How exactly? I'm not certain. Not so simple, because, even the President of the United States of America will not dictate to the Muslim countries on how they're going to have to educate, but it needs to be done. Absolutely.
There is no moral equivalency. Israel does not name public squares after terrorists. Israel does not pay its children to stab random Palestinians. You see, what President Obama gets wrong about deal-making is that he constantly applies pressure to our friends and rewards our enemies. President Obama thinks that applying pressure to Israel will force the issue, but it's precisely the opposite that happens. Already, half of the population of Palestine has been taken over by the Palestinian ISIS and Hamas, and the other half refuses to confront the first half, so it's a very difficult situation that's never going to get solved unless you have great leadership right here in the United States. We'll get it solved one way or the other. We will get it solved. But when the United States stands with Israel, the chances of peace really rise, and rises exponentially. That's what will happen when Donald Trump is president of the United States. We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
Which, in fact, he did in his first term. As it's quite evident, this was said during the presidency of Barack Obama at an AIPAC meeting. And yes, he came through. He's a man of action. There's no question about it. And he gets things done. But the challenges are great. And let's hope good things will come out. Let's continue. And we will send a clear signal that there is no daylight
between America and our most reliable ally, the State of Israel. The Palestinians must come to the table knowing that the bond between the United States and Israel is absolutely, totally unbreakable. They must come to the table willing and able to stop the terror being committed on a daily basis against Israel. They must do that. And they must come to the table willing to accept that Israel is a Jewish state and it will forever exist as a Jewish state.
Power to you for that. Absolutely. Not every leader says that unequivocally and so emphatically. Again, this is speaking before October 7th. This is speaking during the presidency of Barack Obama. And therefore, he's speaking about coming together, two sides. Today, there's really no one to talk to. Of course, not Hamas that needs to be eradicated, but even the PA, the Palestinian Authority, they pay for slay. You slay a Jew, you get paid for it. You get killed by slaying a Jew, guess what? Your family gets paid for it. For how long? Forever. That's not going to bring peace. So there's no one to talk to. Let's be quite frank about that. It's nice to say that for, being politically correct, that we, need to come together and to discuss and negotiate. But at this point, maybe back then you could fool yourself. Now there's no fooling. No fooling.
I love the people in this room. I love Israel. I love Israel. I've been with Israel so long in terms of I've received some of my greatest honors from Israel. My father before me, incredible. My daughter Ivanka is about to have a beautiful Jewish baby. In fact, it could be happening right now, which would be very nice as far as I'm concerned. So I want to thank you very much. This has been a truly great honor. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I gave most of the points. The most important point that I would like to mention about Donald Trump is that ultimately he has a great merit that he is there for Israel, for the Jewish people of Israel and beyond. And it's not only that he is doing what he believes and feels that it's the right thing, but that's being a messenger of God. And this is what I would like to get across to him and to other leaders. Recognize that you're in God's world. It's God's garden that we need to create. It might sometimes feel that we are in a jungle, but our duty is to create God's garden here on earth to make a world of good. And that we have the merit and therefore the responsibility to do this. And it's not about our great achievement, because that's what we were created for, to do great things and to achieve wonderful, good things. That's what we're here for. So for that, we don't pat ourselves on the back. We can pat others on the back and encourage them and give them the strength. But that's the great merit that I have, Donald Trump has, and you who are listening right now, you also have that great merit to be a messenger for God. I'm a messenger by teaching Tanya in particular. I teach daily Tanya, esoteric, mystical, Kabbalistic teachings that are practical and real for your life. Join me every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live, or you can get it on youtube.com/Tanya Rabbi or on all the other platforms. Tanya Rabbi, helping you to make your impact, find what your mission is, on how you, together with me and all of us together, we will change the world for good and bring the final redemption. Mashiach now. God bless you all.